Ladies and gentlebirds, welcome back to the Outside Insider. My name is Liam Jenkins and we'll be guiding you through all things Philadelphia Eagles related. And literally 2 seconds before this stream has started, we have had news from Ian Rappaport that says Fletcher Cox underwent an epidural injection procedure. Get that off your tongue on a Monday afternoon. This week to alleviate discomfort he'd been experiencing in his back. So I know there's some minor news for you there. I'm sure he's fine. He was absent from practice today. That does explain his absence. But for once, we've not been blindsided. We can address it on the show. That's why live shows to me are far more beneficial than recording something, editing it, and then 3 hours later, the news comes out and you look a bit silly. So Fletcher Cox did go under a minor epidural injection procedure. He should be back at practice shortly. How are you all doing? Welcome to the show, everyone. We're going to be discussing for you over the next hour or so. We had a chat yesterday, or Monday even, about the Philadelphia Eagles offense and whether it's problematic, whether there's meat on the bone, whether there's potentially an issue, whether it's a non-issue, whether there's a good BJ and a bad BJ, whether it's Brian Johnson or Nick Sirianni. And it felt like something was missing. So I went deep into the stats and analytics and tried to get some kind of clarity on what we're seeing, because every time I looked at numbers, every time I looked for stats and reasons and something to back up the notion that this offense is underperforming, I couldn't really find that much. And that was a bit, not concerning, but certainly confusing. So we'll discuss that, the nature of the offense, what's expected of the offense and such moving forward. And as well, of course, debate the LA Rams, the opponents ahead, Matt Stafford being like near enough invincible against the Eagles, and so much more. If you are just tuning in, hello, make sure you leave a like if you could. It only takes a couple of seconds and helps us out massively, so my British dulcet tones can annoy as many of you as humanly possible. And with that, we'll get to the chat. Zaya Cox had an epidural. Ron, nice to see you. And Jarrell's in, and Benza as well. Nice to see you, Benza. Welcome to the show. So Ron started off there with the Eagles' red zone offense. Maybe we just jump straight in. Let's not waste any time. Yes, I've got to say really quickly, Zach looks very professional. And I've seen that picture a million times, but never with the background removed. And it just adds an NBA insider sort of vibe to it. So well done, Zach. I'm a fan of that. Mine is not that good. My Twitter picture currently is my head edited onto Malcolm Jenkins, so I can't really sort too much. But the Eagles' offense, as I said, it feels like I'm not the only one that's slightly disgruntled with it. I'll at least say that it feels that it is quite a common consensus among Eagles fans that it's not been going too great, or there is meat on the bone, or however you want to phrase it, that validates that it's good but could be better. Most people agree that this is an all-star unit with some of the best positions across the league, really. I mean, Jalen Hurts has been paid technically now, the second or third highest quarterback of all time after JB. Should be one of the best players on the field without a doubt. Backfield, we know the Eagles always produce, but behind the offensive line, it should be good. I mean, we're not expecting miracles, but it should be good. The offensive line, Jason Kelce is probably the best center in the NFL still. The guards are good. The tackles are very good. So we know that's a strong position. The tight end is good. I mean, I think had a couple of seasons where he felt like an elite tier tight end for a while, but hasn't really lived up to that, especially this year. But the wideouts, creme de la creme, cream of the crop, you can't really ask for much better. So I think you look at last year and how good that offense was, you look at the talent that's in it, and you look at what it's doing this year, and I think there naturally is a sense of it should be better. That it should be. But again, when you go to the stats, and this is what winds me up, we'll get the first graphic of the day just for K1 here. It is very Jekyll and Hyde. It's very Jekyll and Hyde. Let's just take a look. So on the red is your Jekyll, your blue is your Hyde. We'll start with the good stuff. Pass blocking and run blocking, both top 6 units. Run blocking the best in the NFL, which checks out given the way DeAndre Swift has been able to shuffle his way through opposing defenses. 9th on third down. Sure, okay, not too bad. And then 7th DVOA. So that's a top 10. If you take that core without the quarterback, that's run blocking, pass blocking, the ability to move the ball on third down, and an average grade of defense that is a little bit more forgiving and more accurate than just typical pass and run, analytics. Top 10 unit. Not a lot to be concerned with there. But then we get to the red zone offense. 24th. 24th in the red zone. It's not good enough. It is not good enough. Third down last week, 1 in every 3 times was a touchdown. That was among the worst lines in the NFL. On third down, as Ron said, you can see it in the graphic as well. 9th on the year, 43%. Yards per pass, 11th. Average passer rating, 14th. And seconds per play, 29th. Now, my theory here, and I think this is where I'm now at with this offense after doing this, because I felt as I was trying to find these numbers, I was always looking for something very good or very bad. And all I was finding was average. I mean, apart from seconds per play, like that is dreadful, sure. But most of it, all I was finding was average. Top 10 barely, 14th here, 15th there, 16th over there. It felt average. It felt like an average offense. And my qualm with this is that I don't think this is an average offense anymore. We can't view it through the same way we viewed the 2019 Eagles. We viewed the 2020 Eagles. We viewed the 2021 Eagles. We can't. I think we've become so accustomed to mediocre/good offenses with weaknesses and with glaring areas for improvement. And whether it's shoddy play calling, whether it is a poorness on third down, or under Dougie P, it was a real reluctance to start aggressively and get points on the board. Whatever it is, some of it was forgiven because it was an average unit. This isn't. This is a great unit. And I think that's where I got confused. I was looking for something very, very good. And it was just average. But I was like, well, it's average. It's all right. I can't really complain about that. And then you've got to reaffirm yourself that, no, wait. You can complain about that. And that's absolutely valid. Because this is an all-star team filled with, again, A.J. Brown and Smitty, 2 of the best receivers in the NFL. Jalen Hurts has been paid to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He hasn't even been top 15. Maybe top. It should be just above top 20. If we're being completely... He had 1 good game so far out of 4. The running backs have been great. That's been the glue that's held it together. And I think that, again, we're viewing this offense like it is a 2020, 2021 team. There's like, oh yeah, it's good. It'll get better though. They'll get better. And it's like, that's fine. But this is a Super Bowl roster now. The expectations have moved up. In the same way that I hold Quez Watkins to a standard that, like, I thought he'd be gone this offseason. I thought he'd be replaced. And technically, Olamide Zaccheaus has sort of done that already. But this is a team with Super Bowl aspirations, coming off of a Super Bowl appearance, whose roster somehow got better in the offseason. That's rare in itself. It just isn't playing up to that standard. And like Quez Watkins, you get to a point as the rest of the team gets better, mediocrity just isn't acceptable anymore. It becomes a hindrance. It holds you back. Quez Watkins missing, receptions or balls flying through his hands becomes an issue because it costs you key points. And as opposed to, losing by 7, as you would have done like 2 years ago, it's, okay, we lost anyway. Well, now it's a 1-possession game, and it's a game you should be winning, and you've given the other team a lifeline. That's the difference. And I think that same mentality has to be applied across the board to Jalen Hurts. The offensive line apparently is void from criticism because they're PFF darlings as always, but they were very good last week. Left some meat on the bone prior to that. Running backs, I think, are the only ones genuinely void of any criticism at this point. And even then, Kenny Gainwell's usage confused me, but that is very much a Brian Johnson criticism. But I think it's absolutely fair to view this offense as what should be a top 5 offense in the NFL. And you can look at this, and the automatic argument is the schedule's harder this year. But it's not now. They've played the Commanders. They've played the Vikings. They've played the Patriots. They're not playing world-beater teams yet. You can't use that argument to counter it. The offense is leaving meat on the bone. We all agree they should be playing to a higher standard. And we have to identify why they're not. And I think that's okay. If this team wasn't 4-0, I think the microscope would be so fixed on Brian Johnson, he would look like that scene of, with Woody in Toy Story where he uses his hand to light the RC car because it burns. That would be Brian Johnson. Because it would be such a a magnitude of pressure because the team are like maybe 1-2 going into last week, or maybe they're 2-1, whatever it is. But they would have dropped easy games, and it could have easily happened. They've got by with their tail between their legs. And the one game, they looked really good, and the offense did its job. The team still found a way to make it very challenging and almost blow it. One day, one of these teams is going to come around and kick the Eagles in the rear, and it's going to be a harsh wake-up call. And I don't want that to happen. I'm trying to rally them out of it here. I'm trying to understand, like, I need to get to the Eagles need to get to the bottom of what's causing these inconsistencies, these malfunctions, these miscommunications where Smitty goes that way and the ball goes that way, or whatever it is. Whether it is Brian Johnson calling the QB draws, whatever it is, has to be resolved quickly because it won't stay this easy for long. You're not going to get to play the Commanders and Sam Howell every week. Matt Stafford, very good quarterback. You can say he's washed with the Rams. You can say the Rams are nothing without Cooper Kupp. They're doing damn well. They're a very good team this year. Out of nowhere. I didn't expect them to rebound the way they have. But this is a Rams team that will absolutely cause problems if the Eagles are even a mildly bit inefficient. And I think if they play anything like they have the past 4 weeks, this could be a trap game. And this isn't one that then all of a sudden becomes a guaranteed win. I wasn't bothered about the Commanders. It should have been a win. It was scary that it got to that level, but I was never concerned. I thought maybe the Patriots could be a trap game. Tom Brady night, Bill Belichick. They got away. The Vikings after that, sure, okay, what have you. I genuinely forgot the other team they played off the top of my head now, and it's ruining my point. But you understand what I'm saying. The Bucks. There you go. Same thing. We'll get to some of your comments, because I know I've been ranting right now. The first comment I've seen is that Marshall has never saw Toy Story. You're missing out. For some reason, it won't let me highlight the comment. There we go. You are missing out. It is a cult classic. Cult classic. I cannot believe that. Absolutely fuming. Great film. I'm not sure what it'd be like watching it for the first time as an adult. I wonder if because I've like grown up with it, I hold it in a high regard. Maybe it's that. Maybe if like you show an adult Toy Story for the first time, you know, it's like showing an adult Frozen for the first time. And it's like, I don't know. But I would recommend it. You know, maybe if you get like a family dinner or something, or it's like Christmas and it's on the TV in the background, and you're on and it's a few beers deep. But it's good. Let's go through the rest of the comments. Be a different team. Every year it's a different team. True. Very true. But I still think... hang on, here we go. Duck's built on that. You also have a first-time OC in DC. OCDC, Brian Johnson, the name of the AC/DC singer. I see what you did there, completely unintentionally. It's hard to get there again. And even with... Yeah, I do completely understand that. But I think that... I don't know. How long can teething problems be teething? Realistically, with the offense? Because the defense has been all right, I think. I feel like the defense has held its own. It's been able to... I mean, outside of last week, has been very, very clinical against the run. It's been great against the pass. The pressure has been brilliant from the boys up front. But I do wonder, like, at what point does it be... There's like... It's like again, that kind of growing pain period. Like, when does that end? And you kind of start going, okay, well, you know, it's time to go now. It's time to hit the ground running. Like, you've had your inclination period. You've had your 4 weeks to get settled down, get your feet in, establish everything, build your playbook the way you want, get familiar, learn what works, what doesn't. Like, when does that run out? And when does, okay, right, it's go time now. Like, when does that start? It's genuinely, like, I'm not trying to be, like, contrarian. I'm not trying to poke what is it? Just an asinine debate or anything like that. I'm just genuinely curious because I think, I don't know, maybe I'm trying to hold them to a standard that is too high. Maybe it is that. But I think I've also done the opposite of, like, when there were teams that weren't very good, letting them off with absolutely everything when you kind of shouldn't have. It's a double-edged sword. I completely understand it's a double-edged sword. It's definitely a trap game. It's a road game with a team with an off coming up. Yeah, I mean, also the fact, let's quickly touch on this. I was going to say this for the second half of the show, but it does make sense. Then we'll get back to the Toy Story and stuff debates later. Guys, if you are watching, you haven't given it a like yet, if you could, that'd be lovely. As long as we're on 3, we can pump them up. I think we're losing traffic today to the Phillies. Everyone's at the Phillies, I reckon. That's my theory. Everyone here is down Citizens Bank Park, screaming, dancing on my own, hoping for a win. But look at this. This is absolutely terrifying. This is Matthew Stafford's record against the Eagles in 5 games. I don't know how you have a 58% pass completion and only 1 turnover. That in itself, to me, is barbaric. Now, he hasn't played the Eagles since joining the Rams, so there is an element of an unknown there. I would argue he's been a better quarterback since being with the Rams because the system, obviously, is very quarterback-friendly. Hell, they made Jared Goff look mildly competent, so, I mean, it's got to count for something. So that isn't great. That, you know, and bear in mind, he's done this without Cooper Kupp. He's done it with an undrafted free agent who's been saving my fantasy team. The Rams are a good team. Stafford's a good quarterback. And the Eagles could very easily find themselves in a shootout or a similar situation. Doug says, go Phils. Completely agree. I went to find my Phillies jersey. I got a Bryce Harper one. And the lettering's come off on the back. I'm absolutely livid. Genuinely furious. Andy had a rule where you can take a HC job, but don't poach his coaching staff. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one, isn't it? That's what happens when you have good teams, other teams poach your staff. Yeah. I mean, if anything, it's vindication for the Eagles that it does keep happening. You know, it's been the same way for what, like 5, 6, 7 years now that coaches continue to get poached. I'm amazed they've been able to retain Jeff Stoutland as long as they have. That's the one guy that I'm very thankful that they have been able to keep a hold of. Talking of which, Suro Peta is going to have himself a ball this weekend. I mean, what a made to make a first start of the year against Aaron Donald and Quinnen Williams. Whew, right, well, it's time to, you know, cross your fingers, cross your toes, and hope that somehow the Stoutland University has been able to get another graduate through with flying colours, because that can be an almighty test. That we will talk more matchups, we'll talk more game-related stuff on Friday. I mean, Wednesday is always a tricky show because you're kind of half recapping Sunday, maybe stuff you didn't touch on, maybe injury developments, and then the other half is like sort of preluding to Friday. So if there is anything you guys want to go over in the meantime, obviously do let me know. But yeah, we do have some extra little tidbits there with the Rams and things. Rams like the 49ers defense. Welcome to the show, Greg, by the way. I haven't said hello to you tonight. The problem will persist until the Eagles cannot go back to what worked last year, sustaining long drives to give to the Yeah, and again, it goes back to... Whoa, wrong graphic. Don't ruin that one yet. Cool. Hope everyone saw that one. Whew. That's what we went. Yeah, I mean, it's time of possession they've actually been doing okay in. But something like seconds per play where... Okay, what doesn't understand? This is what doesn't add up to me. Seconds per play is 29th. If you are 29th in, you know, the time it takes for the ball to leave a quarterback's hand and the play to finish, I would assume that the yards per pass attempt would be like astronomically high. Because they should be. Because you're dropping back, you're spending more time in the pocket. I don't really see how, and this could just be, you know, blind ignorance on my part, the Eagles rank only 11th in yards per pass, despite being so low in seconds per play. Maybe there is something there. Maybe there's not. But I do think that that's an interesting caveat. Maybe they're not being aggressive enough. Like if they're just trying to wait, and then it's a screen, or wait and it's a comeback or a curl. It feels like all of the big plays, bar maybe 3 or 4 so far, have come from someone like AJ. Like the AJ Brown touchdown was like a 40-yard touchdown on Sunday against the Commanders, where it was basically a slant, and he juked out one defender, takes it sideways, jukes out a couple more, gets a block from Olamide Zaccheaus, and that turned into a touchdown. Otherwise, it was like a 15-yard gain tops. So I wonder how much of it is, you know, yards per pass v actual game, like a kind of yakety-tack. Peta has to block Aaron Donald. Yeah, gonna be a fun one. Gonna be a fun for sure. Doug's excited by the graphics. I mean, I was impressed about that graphic just because I had Jekyll and Hyde. Subtleties, right? This is like modern day art. The red is Jekyll, the blue is Hyde. See, the blue, good stuff. The red, bad stuff. Don't get that on ESPN. Themed, it's controlled. Everything has a purpose on this stream. Think about it. You've got to use your noggin, boys. Rams are no pushover. Nice to see you in the chat, Phil. Hope you are all well. Yeah, the Rams are concerning. Put it that way. The Rams are worrying me. We'll get this graphic out. We might as well. I mean, we're 20 minutes in. Like, this is not what I expected when I thought to make a tail of the tape for both of these teams. Second passing offense in the NFL. Rushing offense isn't great. They're both tied on that front. No, so what I've done there, excuse me, there is a boo-boo with the Eagles one. The offense, I believe, are like second in rushing offense. I just haven't changed that. So the Eagles are not 18th in rushing offense. That's also something you don't get on ESPN, a big boo-boo like that. Passing defense, the Eagles are really bad at. I wasn't expecting that. But then again, against the run, they're extremely good. So that does kind of balance out about halfway. And the Rams do rank pretty poorly in turnover differential. But what's scary is obviously a very good pass offense and a very good pass defense, which just so happens to correlate, if you look closely and connect some dots, with a lackadaisical passing defense of Philadelphia that ranks 27th. So that's also massively a red flag. I mean, if there's ever a quarterback that is going to pick apart off coverage, his name begins with Matthew and ends in Stafford. And if you look conversely to that, the Eagles' passing offense has left a lot of meat on the bone, as we've said. That's probably our favourite phrase in this stream. And it comes up against the top 10 pass defense. So I'm genuinely a little bit skeptical, is the word. We'll say skeptical of the LA Rams and the Eagles' ability to churn out a result there, because this is a good Rams team. They are missing some personnel. They're rebounding well. And it feels like, I don't know, Sean McVay maybe doesn't have that pressure on him. Like, for years, he was that golden boy of the NFL. And I mean, sure, what's your first memory? Can you remember that play from week 3 in 2019, Q3, play 4? Like, everyone asking him that. And it was like, the novelty's gone. The spotlight's moved away. And he can just coach and enjoy it. And it feels like, with players back, because the Rams really sucked last year because they lost so many key players. Their tried and failed method of trading every draft pick ever for free agents burnt out because, funnily enough, they couldn't retain all the overpaid free agents that they'd acquired. So you're left with a shell of a team, a coach that can't really coach it because there's nothing to coach, and it all just fell apart. And now that's moved away. McVay's got back to his basics. Seems to be doing well. The Rams are surviving without Cooper Kupp. And that's what kind of worries me a little bit. Just from it'll be a very Rams thing for them to not pay Cooper Kupp when the next window rolls around, which is going to be, sometime in the future. But at the end of the day, like when you've got someone like Nakua who can come in and basically break a record for the most receiving yards through 4 games by an undrafted free, I think it's like second most of all time by an undrafted free agent or something like that. It's incredible. And you've got guys there that will burn you up underneath. And that's where the Eagles are going to be vulnerable because they don't play press. They don't play man. They set everyone back. And it's an issue, as Washington very much found out last week. Run the ball. Completely agree. Again, if we go back to this one, the Rams aren't exactly the best rushing defense in the league. I mean, it's run-of-the-mill. Completely run-of-the-mill. You couldn't get more average than that. So the only concern I've got with running the ball is who they choose to start it. Because we saw last week, the Kenny Gainwell was being filtered in. It felt disjointed. Like, oh, no, you go. No, you go. No, you go. Like, there wasn't really a rhythm or a reason to who was carrying the ball when and where. It just felt spin a roulette wheel. Okay, time. There you go. And just getting guys out there for the sake of it. So I'd be all for it. But what I do think needs to happen is there has to be more option plays. It feels like everything is very linear for whatever reason at this moment. Like, looking back, I went back and watched the Washington game. That it's like, it's one or the other, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like a read option in my mind to work properly should be a triple threat, right? Should be running back comes up and you either hand it off with an edge defender coming down. I'm doing this with hands and it's all backwards. You can't see it, I know. But like, you go to hand the ball off, edge guy or linebacker comes down and you base your opinion based off his movement. Yeah? So if he presses you, you let him go. If he sits back, you keep the ball. Right? Simple enough? Fine. But if you keep the ball, because he's sat back, you've got to get it out quick. And there's got to be maybe a slant, maybe a curl, maybe a dig, something over the middle, like a hitch, to draw that pass in. What I genuinely see happening a lot with Jalen is keep the ball and then go through like a 5-step drop. And then it becomes a regular play. And the receivers are running right. And by the time Hurts has dropped back and look, the receivers have run into contact with corners or safeties or whoever. And there's no room to get the ball out. And then he sits there for ages. And that's why I think the time to pass is so high. So I don't really know. Like, I think if you're going to start running the ball, do the other thing as well. Like, help it benefit the passing offense. Like, pass to open up the run and vice versa. Like, do quicker run options. It's not impossible. How he played like it in 2021. It was like his bread and butter. Just pass, no, bang, gone, balls out. And with the receivers on this team, that would be so much more functional, so much more effective. So, I don't know. I mean, that would be my game plan, would be run the rock with DeAndre Swift and start using run options, but very quick, very efficiently, snap them. And when they start coming down, when they start trying to be aggressive to stop those plays happening, that's when you take the pot shots. That's when you open up the play action. But it feels like at the minute, it isn't really run options. It's just play action. It's sloppy, exaggerated play action with a fake handoff. It doesn't feel like... Do you see what I'm saying? Am I the only one like seeing that? I'll go to your comments now. I've closed the tab. Let's have a look. Philly Phil Natic. I like the pun. We haven't seen Philly in here yet. Round of applause for Phil for joining the chaos and our Eagles therapy sessions. I don't have a song for new people just yet, but just know I would give you one. It's situational play calling that's limiting the offense. Even though we're 5 in total offense in the NFL, 2 in rushing, 12 in passing, which is pretty good, it's going to get better. Yeah, I agree with that. And that's what I was kind of saying at the start of the show, was it was really hard to critique. Like, I came in having watched the game back, having seen the tape, having looked for stats, and every stat I was finding was either good or average. And it was like, well, you can't be mad at it. You can't be annoyed at it being average. And the conclusion I came to was, well, you can a bit when the team's that good, when there is that much potential and that much talent. So I mean, they should get better. The Rams are going to be a tough test, though, make no mistake about that. I think we've all drastically overlooked how good the Rams could be this year. I didn't have the Eagles losing their first game until the Jets with Aaron Rodgers back in like June, July, when the schedules were being made and everyone's doing their predictions. The Rams didn't even think about, like, yeah, easy win, whatever, done. Didn't think twice. And now it's kind of crept up on us. I'm a little bit more aware, I guess you could say, of the Rams. Which is scary for the rest of the NFL. It is true. If the Eagles do start going, they will be firing on all cylinders. And that is the only positive, I think, from this. It's not like, and I said this last show, that this is an offense playing at the top of its skill level, the top of its ability, and it's maxing out, and it's inconsistent, and it's bad, and you're like, well, it's not going to get much better. Like, that's kind of the ceiling there, isn't it? Like, they're going to put up 21 points a game through the air, and that's going to be it. But there'll be a few picks and it's sloppy and you don't trust the like there's none of that. This does feel like an offense that will only get better. And if Jalen continues to improve and build on what was a much, much better performance in week 4, then when he gets going, the offensive line's playing great. As we said, 2 top 6 units in the NFL right now in terms of like grades on pass blocking and run blocking. 2 elite wide receivers, a dominant run game is all you need. Is literally is the dream scenario for him. So they should only get better by definition. You know, I mean, you have to have someone in the middle ranges. My plan or decision is trying to go too deep. Yeah, 100%. And that's what I'm saying. K1's in. He's missed all the graphics, but he is in. Sirianni needed to make sure that Brian Johnson and Coach Singleton knew how to get Swift 18 carries. Yeah. So the consensus in the chat from the Eagles therapy group is we need to get them running the ball. Duck says the problem is Sirianni and Johnson are trying to give Lurie what he wants, a high-power passing offense. Steichen tried it. Yeah, that is true. I'd never thought of it like that. And I mean, we've heard a lot about Jeffrey Lurie, I suppose, his input on the shape of the team, the structure of the team, like how it performs. And I guess it's no different to... If anyone raise your hand if you play Football Manager in the chat, I'm intrigued. I know there's only a few of you. If anyone plays Football Manager... when you go to a new team, they're like, oh, we'd like you to play a counter-attacking style of football. We'd like you to play direct, or we'd like you to dominate possession. We'd like you to be a counter-attacking team, whatever it may be. I wonder if it's the same with coaches in the NFL. I never really thought of it until now. But we know Lurie has had a very firm hand, like not a Jerry Jones level, like sabotagey hand, but certainly an influential hand in the day-to-day handling of his team. And I'm wondering if that is the case, if maybe they do want a more passing-based offense. Maybe they are trying to get the big, sexy, aggressive plays down the field. And perhaps that's why. But I'll tell you what, there is a series on this channel back along of NFL head coach that I played. And I think it's like 2009. And I did like a 4-game. I think I only got 4 or 5 episodes in as head coach of the Eagles. Loved it. Just took an absolute age to edit. But I love the game. Really love the game. I also want to get my hands on I didn't know there was a mod for college football 14, like NCAA, where it's called like college football revamped or something, and it's like made it all up to date. It's all the up to date rosters. They've changed a few things, which I think will be a good carryover until at least the new one comes out, whenever that is. But I cannot wait for that. If they ruin it with Ultimate Team, I'm livid. I want one game to just like steal my life. Like I'm 28. I could still pour hours into a management game. Like I'll boot up an NBA 2K and just make a my GM, create custom teams. Like I get obsessed with it. I love it. I need college football to do that for me because NCAA 14 was generational. Had to keep my powder dry, Martian. But I can complain about Mr. Liam's graphics. We'll go over them all again in the second half just for you. I am going to quickly grab a drink. We are at the halfway mark. If you're just tuning in, hello, salut, bonjour. I don't know why we're French, but we are. Maybe because PSG lost tonight. Who knows? If you could drop a like while I quickly grab myself a drink, that would be absolutely lovely. Again, it just helps the stream grow, helps reach more people. People like Philly Philnatic, who is our new best friend. So yeah, if you could, that'd be amazing. I'm going to quickly go grab a drink, and I'll see you in about 30 seconds or so, as soon as I find the transition. Hello, we're back. Bang on 30 seconds, would you? Look at that. Grab a drink. No, not even a wee. It was just water. It's not vodka. I'm not. Look, the Eagles have if the Eagles go like maybe 4-4, you know, if they start 4-0, they end up 4-4, then that becomes vodka. For now, just a bottle of water. Just a water bottle. Have I got my water bottle? See, I even said water bottle then. Water bottle. Don't know where it is. It's over there somewhere. But it's in a lovely flamingo glass today because birds, I suppose, probably about all we've got. But how are you all doing this evening, guys? How are you doing about the Phils? How are you all feeling? You excited? I still find it weird that it's only a 3-game series. Did the wildcard series used to be a 1-game thing? I find that mental. That you can play like 2,341 games in an MLB season and your playoff fate get decided by 1 game. I find mental. But I'm glad it's 3 at least. So long as the Phillies win tonight, I'm glad. Otherwise, I'm not. But, you know. We're going to touch on the new DB. Yeah, unfortunately. Unfortunately, we will. Bradley Roby. So I just saw K1's comment there didn't used to be playoffs. Yeah, I know. I kind of prefer that in a bit of a way, I think. I don't know. I think, yeah, there's somewhere along the line, there is a balance. Probably the NBA does it the best. But even they've like got half the league in the playoffs. Like, I'm not a fan of the NFL playoffs, to be honest with you. The fact that you can be bang average, the most average team in the NFL, and make the playoffs defeats the point of the playoffs, I think. In my mind, I think the playoffs should be the best 8 to 12 tops. Should be the best 4, like from each conference for 8, and then maybe the next best 4 tops after that. But even that's pushing it. Because that's still 50%, really, of like, I don't know. Tricky, yeah, but then again, I'm English, aren't I? Water bottle. I grew up on like English football playoffs being like 1 is automatic and then 2 to 6. So you have 4 teams out of 24 playing in the playoffs. And that feels huge. Like, if you get into the playoffs, it is a massive achievement. And now it feels like it's just, yeah, well, we came third in our division, but we went 8-8, so we're in. It's not the same, is it? But it's just me being a bitter old man with a silly haircut, which I am getting, done tomorrow. I'm getting a haircut tomorrow, so on Friday, new man. There'll be no more. Well, there will be a floppy fringe. It won't be as severe because this is horrific now. The Eagles signed Margot Robbie. I wish they signed Margot Robbie. Just don't tell my girlfriend. But what can you do? We're now officially Barbie girls in the Barbie world. I've not seen the film. I've not seen Barbie yet. I've been told it's very good. I've been told it's great for the boys. Because it wipes out a lot of toxic masculinity. And I'm all about that. Up the boys, I say. Go do the things. But I don't know what the things are because I've not seen it. But I've just heard it's very healthy. So there's that. And Margot Robbie's in it. And Ryan Gosling, who's all right, isn't he? He's quite good. We're going off topic, but I watched the film Drive the other week and love it. I haven't seen it in so long and I forgot how good it was. Incredible piece of cinema. Like, it's so, like, dead. Like, nothing happens, but then it all happens. Like there's not a lot of words. And it's just him driving about and then being a bit weird and quiet to the girl. But then you suss out everything yourself. I think that kind of adds to it. Very well done if you haven't seen that before. What else did we get? He was so good in Drive. Yeah, do you know, I always wanted that jacket. The Scorpion jacket's so sick. But I saw it as a teenager and thought it was like a sick film. And then I showed my girlfriend it on Netflix a few weeks back. And she really enjoyed it. But I was just sat there I didn't really appreciate it as a kid. I think as a kid, I just saw the big action stuff at the end. It's obviously Ryan Gosling and the cool jacket. And it's very artsy in the way it's shot. But you miss the intricacies of it, I guess. I don't know. The music, the score to it is phenomenal. Unbelievable soundtrack. There you go. I don't really see many films. I'm not a big movie guy. I watch wrestling on a Wednesday night, which is in about an hour and 20. And I play Football Manager. And that is about as far as my entertainment goes. So for me to compliment a film takes a lot. It's like Lord of the Rings, The Matrix, Drive. And 3 or 4. I've got comfort films and that's it. Wolf of Wall Street is another one. Giants with the chance to have EBBROC. EB, that sounds like some little Eminem rambler. So the EBZ won't let me be, and avoid issues we've been having. Yeah, I mean, Eric Bieniemy is sort of, just long regarded as the GOAT, isn't he? It's crazy that I feels like every year for the past 3, he's been the guy to target. Baby Driver is Baby Driver the one where I'll come back to you, Jarrell. Sorry, I got distracted. Is Baby Driver the one where he has glasses? And it's is he blind? Or deaf? Or something like that? Or is it a completely different film? I feel like I've seen half of it. And then I had to stop because a news story broke and I had to write about it. So, perks of the job. We'll go back to Eric Bieniemy. It's a tricky one. But realistically, are you ever going to get your guy? Hearing loss. That's the one. Knew it. Yeah, so it is the film. I'll go back and watch it properly. I think I've seen about maybe half or a third of it. But yeah, I did like what I saw for sure. But yeah, again, Eric Bieniemy is just one of those guys where it feels like he was always around every off-season's coaching discussion. He was always the top target. And I don't feel like the Eagles have got their top target for a while. But somehow they're just really good at developing coaches or finding coaches that maybe aren't as good and bringing them up. Outside of Mike Groh and Press Taylor. Also, what is Press Taylor doing in Jacksonville? We can all agree that he will be the undoing of Trevor Lawrence, right? I'm sure we can all, as Eagles fans, accept that Trevor Lawrence is now doomed because Press Taylor's there. And that's very clear from the offset, I think. But yeah, I think that does fill me with some confidence. Is if you look at coordinators like Frank Reich has gone on to get a head coaching gig, Shane Steichen's gone on to get a head coaching gig, even Mike Groh was given opportunities. It feels like the Eagles have done a good job at finding coordinators and getting them on. But yeah, I think Shane Steichen, there was the immediate. We established last week, Monday, there was the immediate link with Nick Sirianni, where the two had overlapped. I believe it was during the time of the Chargers. There wasn't that same vibe with Brian Johnson, who sure has now got the overlap from being in-house, but just very close with Jalen Hurts. Second like on Facebook, whoever that was, thank you. I can't see your name in the chat. If you drop a comment, I want to see if it comes up with the Facebook thing. So if that was you, Mr. Facebook man, say hello. Say hello to the boys. We're averaging 400 points per game, 400 yards per game, 400 points per game. If the Eagles were averaging 400 points per game, we certainly wouldn't be having these conversations. But I think I'm going to have to. I'll tell you what, I will show K1 my graphics from today. See if he picks up on the subtleties and the colouring, you know, the red being Jekyll and the blue being Hyde. But again, I don't know. I genuinely feel like this offense gives the same vibe as when, you know, you get into an argument with your girlfriend, or you start the argument with your girlfriend, and you think you're right, you think you've nailed it, and then all of a sudden the tables turn and you question everything. And you're like, oh, I'm a dick, I shouldn't have done that. And then like 6 hours later, you lie there awake questioning, going, was I a dick though? That was valid. I didn't know. No, I was onto something there. And you're not sure. Like, you think you're right, but you're not sure. But then they've also got a point. But then it's not the same that you're looking for. So you end up, and that's what I genuinely feel with this Eagles offense. Like, I don't get how it can be so good in the offensive line, fairly good on third down, moving the ball through the air pretty well, great game against Washington, but then suck in the red zone, suck situationally, be awful on third down last week, and like 29 seconds per play. And it's like, half of you is going, there's something there. Sort it out, BJ. It's shocking. You're better than this. Your team's filled with all-stars, mate. You've got Devontae Smith. You've got A.J. Brown. You've got an all-star offensive line. You've got a QB1 that's paid $250 million. Sort it out. And then half of you views the stuff on the right, and you're like, no, they're fine. And you see K1's comments, and you're like, 30 points per game. They're all right. It's okay. Relax. And I don't know. And it's actually getting me worked up. I'm not going to cry, but that is true. You are right. That is their whole point of the existence. Is they are meant to score points. But it just feels, I don't know. Is there a red flag? Are we missing a red flag in this relationship? Is there something there in 6 weeks' time? They're going to be 4-4 or whatever, because that, you know, whatever. And we're going to be going, I told you so. Yeah, I knew it. Or are we going to be going, I told you so, Liam, they're fine, look, they're like 8-0. I don't know. Analysis by, unfortunately, that does come with like tricks of the trade, you know? I think that is like part of my job to analyze. Like, I always try and stay so far away from like hot takery and being Dan Sileo level bullshit, you know? But I genuinely, like, I love these sort of debates where we can dissect it and analyze and just voice it in a chamber where we know, like, no one's just, like, I find it really immature where I couldn't say last year, or in 2022, I couldn't say Jalen Hurts played bad, or Jalen Hurts sucked in 2021 for a bit, without being labelled a hater or having an army of minions come at me and insult me. And it's like, but I can be critical and want him to succeed. Like, and I think that's where a lot of radio shows are at. They go for the immediate, like, hot take, this team sucks, fire him, they're awful, that needs to be better. Whereas I'd much rather kind of analyse and see what's going on, and if we can spot patterns that do emerge. Like, put it this way, if we look at last week's game, how much of what we said in the shows all last week came true? The A.J. Brown rebound, the Jalen Hurts 300-yard game. That's about it. But you get what I'm saying? That, you know, it's just, I don't know, I find it better doing this than just, you know, writing stuff. Scoring points is kind of the thing. This is where therapy is going to last all year. Absolutely. I can't wait. I mean, these shows are great. I'm rhyming now, and that's the state. It's, you know, there's a lot on my plate, and I can't make you wait for the next show. You know, it's a new slate when the new one does come on, and it won't be late. It won't be late. I think I'm out of words now, but I gave it a go. The red flag, we don't make the adjustment. Yeah, I'm wondering if, like, I'm wondering if it's the same sort of thing as when last year Jonathan Gannon got slagged off for not adjusting ever, and the Eagles still made the Super Bowl and everyone loved him. Like that really. Okay, look, I don't want that happening again. It really irks me. And there is a content creator who shall not be named. He's no one of note. That's not condescending to him, but he's not huge. He's not someone I respect. I'm making this worse. I try to be like nicer, and I've just made it like 10 times worse. Like, but he's not like one of the great guys that we all love at PSN, like a Lord Brunson or a Philly 500, someone like that. Okay, we love those guys. But he would just be like, he went through a phase where he'd be on Twitter telling me I'm wrong for saying Jonathan Gannon was flawed and that the Eagles defense had issues and that I was a hater. And then after every good game the Eagles defense would have, he would petty like unlike tweets and petty like them out of a statement and then petty subtweet me about Jonathan Gannon. And I'm like, you've got a full-time job, mate. You've got better things to do. But then the Eagles, like, the Super Bowl happened, everyone imploded, and he was slagging him off. And I was like, you spent a whole year, dick riding without a license. And I don't want that to happen here, is what I'm trying to say. Like, I'd like to objectively be critical of Brian Johnson and say, look, it's just not happening right now, okay? There's meat on the bone. There's stuff to improve. I'd like to see it improve. Then pretend with midnight green tinted glasses that the offense is absolutely fine and everything's fine. I'm not dropping the name because that's mean. Okay, I'm a professional young man, old man, but I'm a professional man nonetheless. And again, it's not. I don't know. I don't think it's worth it. I don't give them the publicity sort of thing. Exactly. We're not doing that. But what I'm saying is, I would like to just objectively say the offense should be better, and that'd be okay. It doesn't have to be seen as negative, and we all do a very good job of that here. We can have a healthy debate, if you will, which you don't get in many places. So it was coming full circle, I promise. But no, I would never want to become Dan Silio. That is literally my worst nightmare. If I ever get close, or you see me teetering off a ledge, or I get, there's a red flag, or a beige flag, if you are colorblind, just tell me. Just hit me up. So Liam, stop it. You're being a knobhead. I'm fine. But yeah, well, we'll talk a little bit about the Rams because obviously they've been. Oh, Corey, I missed Gerald's comment there. Sorry. At no point last year did it seem the offense was finding itself, and it feels like we're doing that every game. But I do wonder if, like, again, last year kind of you had a 2-year window there, didn't you? So for that to be applicable, we need to see a full year of this offense and then the first 4 games next year, I think. Because obviously there was the continuity last year. Well, could you actually start being a smeghead? That is one hell of an insult. I love that. Quit being a negatron. I'll do my best. Look, I'm British. It's in my ways. I'm immediately doubtful and pessimistic with most things. But look, at least we can be. There's always base. Set the bar low. You always overachieve. But yeah, if we're talking Rams, this is what's scaring me. This is what's doing my head in. More than the Eagles' offense. I didn't even know it was 4-1 against the Eagles. I had no idea. But 10 touchdowns and 1 interception in 5. So he's averaging 5 touchdowns a game. No, he's not. 2 touchdowns a game. Sorry. Wow, that's why I'm not a mathematician. Pass completion's bad. Yards are bad. But 10 touchdowns. That's surgical. And I feel like Stafford's been on a heater this year. I mean, their overtime win last week was huge. What I will say really quickly about the Rams, I'm sure Liam isn't a malignant narcissist, so he's impossible to troll. Yeah, I mean, the thing, right? The thing with people there with me is that, like, I take the bullets myself, if that makes sense. So like on Twitch, I'd rather just say a chaotic story, or like, I don't know, my accent, or I look like Sid the Sloth, or I've got a funny tooth, or whatever, like, and be in front of the joke because I find it funny anyway. Whereas someone like Dan Silio will get so wound up that that's half the fun. But, maybe in time, maybe in like 20 years, I will be, a malignant narcissist. But until then, it's happy and wholesome. What isn't happy and wholesome is there is a man at PSN by the name of Christopher Infante. I'm sure you'll all know him. Flipping the Birds legend, okay? Remarkable young man. Absolutely love him. Fantastic friend, fantastic father. Played him in fantasy last week. All I'm going to say, I had 143 points. 143 points in fantasy. And I lost. Right? Do you know how many points I lost by? 37. So Chris had 180 points because he had Lamar Jackson, Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin, Harrison. But meanwhile, I was having the game of my life with Nico Collins, Patrick Nakua, Zay Flowers, Garrett Wilson. I was flying. I couldn't have had a better week. And yet somehow that happened. And the fact that I got a notification at about, that's been about, I don't know, 9 p.m. my time, just before the 4 p.m. game started, saying that Patrick Nakua had caught the overtime touchdown, 163 yards total. I was like, and my win percentage predictor was like 60. I was, oh, I've got it. I've beat him. Put my phone down, chilled, cuddled with a girlfriend, had a beer. Ba-ding, 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 ba-ding. Christian McCaffrey, like touchdown. Just, I'm scarred, okay? I haven't had anyone to talk about it to yet that understands the pain, but I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. 180 points, Chris. I've never seen a team in fantasy eclipse like even what I had, but I felt beaten. I felt like a broken man. I felt I didn't want to play anymore. I was going, there's no point now. I'm 1-2. Can't win the league. Don't bother. He broke me that much. So it's basically WWE of Philly sports. Yeah, true. I mean, like, it's just, I don't know why people watch him in the first place, though. Well, it's not like any of the stuff he says is like remotely intelligent. So that's where I'm at. Like, I feel like if you can offer value, you can chase clicks a lot easier. I don't think there is any value. Like, I've tried to watch his show, and genuinely, the whole reason why I'm doing this in my living room is because I watch his show do so well, and he's just sat there like leant over his computer like that. Like, and I'm like, okay, right, if he can do it with an unprofessional setting, maybe I don't need the green screen and a fancy microphone for now. I can just do it off the iPad. It's fine. But I do tell you what, the Snowball was iconic. It might be my not favourite Eagles game ever, because that is 2015 Patriots, followed by the Super Bowl. Maybe they're on par. The Snowball was probably up there with like maybe third or fourth. Was it like the scene of like LaShawn McCoy with all like the snow in his helmet? Or was it Megatron? Probably both of them. It was just a hell of a game. It was so fun to watch. Like, yeah, I remember that Sean McCoy just having an absolute breakout like no other. And that whole 2013 season was such a roller coaster. Like Nick Foles v the Raiders. That game went into history books. Love that 2013 season was just fun in general for the NFL. Like, there was a great video. I couldn't tell you who it's by. There's a video on YouTube of someone like, what was the NFL like a decade ago? And he goes over the 2013 season. And it's mad looking back because it doesn't feel like it was 10 years ago. But you see names in there like Larry Fitzgerald and Drew Brees is in his prime, obviously, like a couple of years after the Super Bowl. Like Peyton Manning still going. Cam Newton's on a tear. It was just a fun year for football. I can't remember the last one that felt, from a neutral perspective, like obviously the Eagles had 2017 and last year was very fun. But from an overall NFL season perspective, I can't think of one. 2011 was good. I enjoyed 2011. 2013 was fun for a myriad of reasons, like the Snowball and Nick Foles kind of having that edge there. 2015 was good, I think. But yeah, I feel like this year is getting there though. Like, this year feels like we've had upsets already. Like, I don't feel overloaded by football. I feel like I can watch more of it, if that makes sense. I feel like in previous years there's been so much football, but the quality's been mid. Whereas now, like, even if you watch like Monday's game, like with the Seahawks and the Giants, it's a fun game, absolute chaos. Like, it's just been a really cool start to the year from just sitting down watching like NFL Red Zone perspective. So I don't know. There you are. What is your favourite season of all time? The un-Eagles rated. There's a nice question for us to end on for the last 5 minutes. But yeah, I completely agree with Dan Salio there. Not with Dan Salio, but with you about Dan Salio. Cannot stand him at all. What I will say, though, is that PSN are slowly invading the radio waves, if you will. I'm sure if you listen to WIP, you would have seen Brian on the Go Birds podcast a couple of times, which is cool. So, yeah, that's fun. So we are slowly, invading the world bit by bit, day by day. 2017 was magical. Yeah, it did feel so surreal for, like, the entire thing. I think, was it 2012 with the Washington Monday night game? Yeah. Well, maybe that's just a moment. I always want to get nostalgic in these streams. You always somehow end up talking about, like, the 2015 Eagles or the 2013 Knicks or 2012 that. Like, I don't know. The NFL is such a fun league for that, of like the equivalent of, like, the players that the streets will never forget. Like, I love that sense. Like, a player the streets will never forget. Like, and the Eagles had, like, so many of them as well, that will just go massively underrated. My favourite Eagle that the streets will never forget is Walter Thurmond. I cannot believe he retired when he did. He was amazing for that one season in Philadelphia, and then he just pops up, like, with a fake name about, like, 2 years later playing, like, amateur softball or something. Was that right? And he ended up, like, it was just the most bizarre story. But for that 1 year he was in Philadelphia, I thought, like, oh wow, they've got a safety they can hang their hat on. Unbelievable player. Loved Walter Thurmond. He's one of those guys where he's like, yeah, streets don't forget. Absolute baller. You don't to remind me about Sam Bradford. You don't look. The jersey's right here. It's on the floor from, like, probably where it belongs now. But yeah, I do have the Sam Bradford jersey there. So maybe I'll I don't know. I'll have to wear it one of these days. I might start next stream with it or something. 2000. See, I was too young for 2005. I missed it, but I can get why it certainly would have been. For the Eagles, I don't know league-wise if it was. It probably would have been. I need to do some research on it because I've only seen the Super Bowl from that year, and I think the championship game. Was it a big championship game in 05? Was it like some sort of? I feel like, I don't know. Obviously, it was a big one because the Eagles won, but I feel like it was. I don't know. But my knowledge isn't too great. I don't want to pretend it is. Frank was still the best free agent signing. Yeah, I tell you what, Miles Jack is close though. The fact Miles Jack made it to Philadelphia and then went, nah, not for me. I'm gonna retire. That is tremendous. That is absolutely. I tell you what, that the equivalent of, right? But this is a true story. Back in the day, I don't know how long ago, but me and my best friend had a crush on the same girl, right? Typical, like, goth girl, like you'd see round and about these days. Loved Slipknot, and I went out on a date with her. Nothing happened. I was like, right, fair game. Get in there. Go on. I like alley-oop. I'll alley-oop it over to you. Drop some riz. See what you can do. And they went on a date. Nothing happened. And then about a week later, she was in a relationship with a girl. And we didn't know she was bi before. And I feel like that was what Miles Jack did to the Eagles. Just the intent was there early. And he just went, nah, I'm going that way instead, actually. Sorry, guys. I'm out. So there you are. There's a fun story for you. There's always a little fun anecdote to end the stream. It's got to be done. Bradford was the butterfly that flapped it. Do you know what? I've genuinely tried to find a way to interview Sam Bradford all these years later. I've tried finding his agent, and I think he dropped his agent, so I couldn't find that anymore. I've tried, like, former teammates. I asked one former Eagle who happened to interview with PSN a couple of times. I was like, would you happen to have Sam's number? He said no. So that didn't reinforce me with great confidence. But I have tried. Because it's not like he's, like, gone into TV or done analysis or a blog or a hobby. Like, he's just disappeared. He just genuinely disappeared. Like, I don't know where he went. He went to Minnesota, ended up in Arizona. He just got lost in the desert. I don't know where he is anymore. I just want him back. Like, life's not right without Sam Bradford. I don't care if you go to the XFL. Just, like, do something. Pop up on my screen. Throw a pretty rainbow pass. Do something. Anything. Sam, I'm begging you. Please. How did that make you feel? I found it hilarious because I viewed it as technically the fact it wasn't me and it was my boyfriend, best friend that ended up, flicking the switch, if you will. So it's something that will require years of therapy. Well, here we are. And now you're all the beneficiaries of it. So there's that. But anyway, that story could be worse if she ended up hooking up with me. True, yeah, it wasn't great. but it was funny, and we all joke about it all these years later. So, who knows what other, funky anecdotes we will have in streams to come. But until then, guys, it has been an absolute pleasure, as always. Make sure to say hello to Philliam from me tomorrow during Trending in the AM, not the non-breakfast show in Philadelphia. I will see you all on Friday night to preview the game against the Los Angeles Rams, go over like keys to the game, that sort of thing. In the meantime, if you've got any questions or anything like that, just shoot me a tweet at Liam Jenkins PSN. Go Birds, go Phils, enjoy your evening, and I'll see you next time. Oh, I've ruined it, a burp. Take care, guys. Bye.